everyone. This is Michele Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Before I start my podcast today, I just want to spend a minute or so and dedicate today's podcast with the wonderful Debbi Barber from Vitali skincare line. But before we go there, I want everyone to know that I have had a very sad experience, as everyone did, when I learned on October 15th that Suzanne Somers passed away, and she lost her battle with breast cancer, which she's had for 23 years. So, but I have to say, Suzanne was a real icon to me, and I'm sure to a lot of people who are in the functional medicine and regenerative medicine world. She was so inspirational and had so many challenges that she never really shared with people except her wonderful husband Alan and her family. She was always so brave and so beautiful. I mean, this woman, you would never believe that she was going to turn on the very next day after she died, October 16th. She was turning 77. So I just wanted to dedicate this podcast to Suzanne Somers and say how wonderful a person she was and how sad I am that we've lost her. Okay, so let me move on to a happier subject. Debbi Barber. Debbi Barber and I met through some mutual friends, and she then has introduced me to Dr. Suzanne Turner, who is going to be on my podcast in 2024, and we'll hear a lot more about her, even from Debbi today, because she inspired Debbi on her journey. So just a little bit of background, and then I'm going to let Debbi take over. We are of the same vintage. Debbi's in her 60s, and she came out of retirement to start this incredible skincare line, which we're going to hear about, that is peptide-based, copper GHKCU, which is a copper peptide that is so important for our skin. And so Debbi's going to tell us how that all happened, how she came on this journey, why did she come out of retirement, who inspired her, and where she is today. And then we'll get into the weeds about the actual skincare line. So welcome, Debbi.
Thank you. And I would love to, are you ready for me to talk?
I am. Go ahead.
I want to add something to the Suzanne Somers comments, because she was the person that introduced me to bioidentical hormones 20 years ago, 25 years ago,
me too,
through one of her books.
Yes.
And that really got it started. I started realizing there were options that I had not considered, nor traditional medicine had really presented to me. And so I appreciate you, dedicating this to her, because that was my first, I guess, start into, looking at aging in a different way, or looking at health in a different way.
Well, so we both share that, because I still have her first book. She said she wrote 27 books, which is amazing. She was so prolific. But I had her very first books, and I even contacted her endocrinologist in Santa Barbara, and she was my endocrinologist by just virtually. I never met her, but then she all of a sudden wasn't treating patients anymore. She got so famous with Suzanne, but she was the one, both of them, that through that book and through the personal contact, that I, like you, realized that there were other choices. So yeah, we're going back, I think it's maybe even more than 20 years, Debbi, but whatever it is, it was important.
It most likely is. And I think one of the things, just to add to what you said, is that she had such a passion and she shared it. That Correct. She didn't keep it to herself to be healthy and beautiful. She shared it, great passion. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you. And there's one more very important point, as long as we're continuing to talk about Suzanne, and we could talk about her for a whole podcast, but
absolutely.
But she is an epitome and a role model for the importance of love in your life and how that can keep you buoyed and actually supports your health journey. So I put love with a capital LOVE as one of the most important ingredients for a healthy life. And Absolutely. Those of us who have found love and have sustained love in our lives, like I have and you have, and there are others that we both know that are good role models, like Suzanne. But their love for each other. That even I watched the interview with Alan and Bruce, her son, the other day after she passed away, and Alan was truthful. He said, "Look, we had our moments," and he told how they at one point thought they were going to separate, and how the marriage was struggling. And she, to her credit, she backed off and said, "You know what? If we're having this fight right now, why don't I concede to what you want and you concede to what I want? Let's find a compromise." And I thought that was so brilliant. And he said that the other day, that this really is like a human dynamic that most couples do not know how to practice. They don't know how to compromise. So I would say to anyone that's viewing this podcast today, check out your own relationships and and see if you have any bumps in the road that can be maybe smoothed over by approaching it with that kind of an attitude, that let me give you concessions, and let's find those common grounds where we can agree. And so anyway, that's
I'll add one thing to that, because I have to credit my husband with this. He's taught me this. This was not me. Is to always think the best of the other person. Give them the benefit of the doubt instead of judging too quickly. Mm-hmm. And he has really taught me that. And I think that goes along with it, is thinking the best. So
yes, there's another one too, and I would add that to Terry's comment, is that whenever you're having a battle, any kind of difference of opinion, or even just more physically, active than that, where you just feel like, oh, I just can't take this anymore, and you're feeling frustrated. I always do, what I take is a piece of paper, and I draw a line down the middle, and I say, these are all the things that I love about X, whoever X is. And these are the things that I feel frustrated by, but I recognize that I should never have the right to change another human being. But if we were going to work on things together, these are the things that we should look at in black and white. And then I asked him to do the same thing. And then we look at our lists, and they're very, very graphic, because they're right there, and you've had to take the time and invest the thought and emotion, which it can be a very emotional, and particularly the good side. Like, what is it that I love about him, and all the things that he does. And the more you focus on those good things, the less you feel the negativity.
That's right. I agree with you.
So I would say that's a great exercise for anyone that's trying to find ways to solve or resolve differences in a relationship. So, okay.
Okay.
So I want everybody here to know what an amazing woman you are. Oh. And I'm so proud to have you on my podcast. I like Lisa. Listening to your podcast with Lisa Tamati, and she and I are very close, and we share. That's how I found you, of course, and we just have a lot of the same values. So Lisa is pushing the limits. For anybody that hasn't watched her podcast, I'll give her a little plug. And I was just on her podcast, and she's coming on to mine in December. She's had quite the struggle with her mother, so she had to cancel our first pass at a date. So watch out for that one. In December 5th, she's going to be, and we'll be airing that probably a week later. But anyway, I was listening to you and Lisa, and just like her, I have shied away from having cosmetics or any skincare lines on my podcast, because I feel like there's just such a confusion and so many choices. And I mean, all you have to do is go on Amazon, and they actually go to me every day. I get some flash, an article that is telling me about the next greatest thing, and whether it's Jennifer Aniston or even Suzanne Summers had her own line, which that I would have believed in, because it was
Absolutely.
all around. Yeah, but there are many, many lines that have ingredients that are hidden. And we're going to talk about that today, which I so applaud you, because your product line, Vitali, is so clean. And I know it took a lot of painstaking effort for you to get. But anyway, so I have shied away from featuring someone that's behind a cosmetic line or skincare line, I should say, because if I were going to do it, I always said it's going to be somebody that has a medical approach, scientific approach to skincare, not just superficial slather this on your skin. So before we get into your journey here, I just want to ask you a question that's been burning in my consciousness about your product line, because as you know, I've been using it now for I think about a month and a half.
Right.
And I have to admit that I do layer, I mean, I do use it with other skincare products that I had. So I'm not as religious maybe as some of your customers that do it every single day. But even with the way that I've been doing it, which is, is maybe intermittent, I have seen such an amazing result in my skin. And I know that if I do it every single day, it's going to get even better. So as soon as I use up some of these other products that I had, I will be doing that. But my burning question is, with skincare, I've always been told by anyone that's very professional that it's one thing to put the product on your skin. It's quite another thing to get it to the dermal layer and really make a difference. And so I wanted you to explain to our viewers, how does your product make a difference? And how does it get through those epidermis and to the dermis? So could you just answer that question so I can get it off my chest?
Absolutely. And I had to work with Dr. Suzanne Turner's and the chemist to be, to totally understand this, because as I shared with you the first time we spoke, I'm not a doctor. I'm a passionate bio. I love, bioregulators. And that was my start, is really before I got into the skincare part of it, is just, the fascinating things that you can do for your body. So I am learning, and it's been a 4-year journey, and I'm learning so much. And basically, the amino acids, the GHKCU, are small amino acids like most of the bioregulators, and they can actually go, because they're small, they can go into the skin milieu and actually impact change. They also they actually work by up and down regulating genes to set your body and your skin and many, many things beyond skin to a healthier state. I mean, it's just fascinating. And this is what they've just discovered since I think that was 2010. So it has the ability to penetrate through the epidermis into the dermis and make change.
Okay,
I hope that helps.
Yeah, that does help. And so it's basically because of the GHKCU ingredient
Yes.
that is the main ingredient in your product line. So that's the answer. Because
absolutely.
Okay, so does it mean that you should also be injecting GHKCU simultaneously to using your product in order to double whammy the impact?
You can. It's not mandatory or necessary, but you can. And I do from time to time. I use the products and have for 3 years twice a day. I mean, I like to see what the topical can do. But then from time to time, I will enhance by injecting GHKCU.
Okay. So
it can help, but it's not necessary. That's right.
That's a good explanation, because a lot of people are afraid of injections, and so they would shy away from having to do so.
So many are afraid and that think I'm crazy for doing all the injections. Right.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Water and Wellness. Water and Wellness is one of the best companies to find purified water. They have a countertop system that I use, and I travel with it all the time. So I would highly recommend you look at that. If you use the Ageless code, you'll get a 10% discount. waterandwellness.com /pages/Ageless and Timeless. That's how you can order to get the discount. So visit waterandwellness.com or call 877-296-6880 to learn how to take control of your drinking water and learn about all those natural additives to optimize your health and longevity.
You and me both, but just so everybody knows, and I heard Suzanne Summers say this too, the other one of her podcast interviews, that the needles are really, really small. They're like tiny they're considered the diabetic needles that
Yes,
diabetics get used to using, obviously for health and very urgent reasons. So to do it for proactive, it really is not a big deal. But
no,
I understand people's the fears that people have. Some people don't even want to go and have a shot at the doctor's office when someone else is doing it, and then they also don't like to have their blood drawn. So there's a lot of phobias. So we have to respect the
that's right.
individual needs there. Okay, so tell us just, in a few minutes, just give us your journey so people understand, how did you go from being an advertising executive to being a skincare uh, guru? So tell us your story.
Absolutely. I'll be quick with this. It is truly my own personal experience. I was very fortunate to have Dr. Suzanne Turner as my physician, and she had been working on a lot of my challenges, including, I had thyroid issues that she was able to work with. And then you and I've talked about, what we want to do for building muscle and reducing, especially fat in the middle,
Yeah.
and through CJC and through Tessa Moreland.
Yeah.
I actually really transformed my body. I mean, the numbers really changed. I had more muscle, less fat. And I was seeing so many thymosin alpha, something to boost my immune system.
Right.
So I was having so many wonderful experiences. So one day I felt comfortable enough, was in her office, and I said, okay, Dr. Turner, I said, I need for you to give me a recommendation for crepey skin. And I had this crepey skin on my arm, and it's not there now. I'm so proud, but it was just like, crepe paper. And I said, is there anything for crepe? And she said, well, I can tell you what I do. And I thought, please. And she said, GHKCU. She said, you can get it at the compound pharmacy. I can write you a prescription and you can give it a try. So I'm like, now do it. Let's try. So I used it for a couple of months. It was a foam, and it wasn't beautiful to put on, but if Dr. Turner said do it, I was going to do it. And after about 6 weeks, I could start really seeing a change. I could see a change, some smoothing out. And more than I had even, I saw some small lines around my eyes. I mean, I did use it twice a day, though. And I didn't use other things. I mean, I really tried to see, will this work?
Right.
And after 2 months, I said, okay, I'm sold. And then my husband is the one, because it is expensive through the compound pharmacy. And I started imagining what else could be in this formula. Like, could we put brown algae that is such a wonderful natural product? Could we add rosemary oil and do a body cream? We just started dreaming, like, what would a perfect ingredient be? And we found a pharmacy. I mean, I'm sorry, we found a lab that specialized in organic and natural. And then we moved it to Canada because we found an even better lab and beautiful water, clean water to, use in our products. And here 3 years later, we have this business and we love it. And what I love is so many customers that share and give input and have made our products even better. I mean, I developed the body cream after people were just saying, please, we have to have your moisturizer in a body cream. What can you do for a body cream? So that's really how we got started, is seeing a product that worked and dreamed, how could it then be better? How could we have an eye cream, not just a foam? And then, we expanded to, the moisturizer, the serum, the eye cream. And then we looked at what do we need to do to make it work better. And that was to exfoliate the dead skin cells away. So we developed a cleanser that would help, prepare the skin for the copper peptides. So that's basically the journey. It's simple, just passion.
It's interesting because one of the questions I had for you is, how come you don't have an exfoliator? And I don't have the cleanser. I didn't get that in your little care
I
pack.
need to send you the cleanser. I do. It's lactic acid. So it is, and it's a gentle lactic acid. I think people over exfoliate, people can over exfoliate and harm their skin and their skin barrier. So this is a 5% that's a daily use to prepare your skin and remove the dead and damaged skin cells so that the copper peptides can work better.
Yeah,
So
you're very right. A lot of people tend to think, oh, I have to use a scrub and have it be granular. And sometimes that can cause the breakage of the capillaries and the skin. So it depends on how fragile your skin is. But as you get older, your skin gets thinner.
Absolutely.
Or fragile. Well, that crepey skin issue, I think, is one of the most prevalent in anyone over 50, and particularly if you've been outdoors as an athlete or even just a sun worshiper. That I every single day on the internet there, I watch my feed, and probably because I'm interested in it, I get a lot of promotions for crepey skin. I have not used one of them except yours, your body lotion. Well, no, I take that back. I tried one on Amazon, and it just didn't work. I think I talked to you about it the other day. I think it had kojic acid, or
yes.
Yeah, some of the one. But honestly, I tried it. I used up the whole thing, and I didn't see the outcome. So the body cream that you have, which people swear by, and
I do love the body cream.
Yeah, I read the testimonial. So after I spoke with you the other day, I started to put it on with the rosemary oil, and I have some extra rosemary oil in a bottle that I just put the dropper in to add a little extra boost. And I could swear, Debbi, after a few tries after speaking to you a few days ago, I put it on the bruise that I got after I had my biking accident, and it just won't go away. It's apparently something under the skin and the lower part of your leg where it's harder to get it to go away, according to the dermatologist. But I swear it got lighter. So I don't know. I don't want to
keep it up. It helps the circulation. One of the things about rosemary oil is it helps circulation, and there are studies that show it even helps with cellulite. I know that's one of the hardest things, to deal with, but that is a natural way. So that's why we combine that with the GHK and then there's shea butter and the brown algae. There's so many wonderful ingredients in that. So I would recommend you use it twice a day on that bruise, because I think the circulation, having a boost to your circulation and then having the GHK get in there and do its job.
So let's go back to the journey with Suzanne. Obviously, Dr. Turner was one of your great inspirations and mentors. And obviously Terry, your husband, helped you to get on that path because he is an entrepreneurial spirit, and he saw the opportunity. So together you formed the team. Was there anyone else that has been along your path that has inspired you to be who you are today?
Well, I can go back to my childhood and just say that my grandfather, I remember I was sitting outside with him, and he had a knife and he was whittling, on a piece of wood. And he said, "Debbi, I just want you to know that I think you can do anything you want to do."
Oh, I love that.
And that was the moment when I thought I had no choice. I had to, do something. I had to work hard. I had to be successful because my grandfather said that over me. So I think it started when I was young. And then, I had a very successful career. I loved it. I raised money for a lot of wonderful nonprofits in my business. I mean, millions of dollars. So it was very gratifying. And then to think, okay, well, now I'm going to hang out with grandkids, which has been a joy. But then this opportunity came, and at 65, now I'm 67, but here I go again, So and then Dr. Turner believing in it.
Well, that's another, another example of biological versus chronological age. So what your birth certificate says is meaningless today based on the life choices that you've made. And you are the sum total of your choices. So let's just get that out on the table for everybody. Because there is nobody's going to watch out for your health except you. You are the producer of your own play. and your health play is it's the most important play you'll ever be in. So if you're
Absolutely.
a botanist, you make you have the lines, you make the choices, and some people make the wrong choices and they look older than their chronological age. But you and I both know that we both look a lot younger than our chronological ages, but we work at it. It takes
Yes,
discipline,
it
and
does.
and like I said, some days it's almost overwhelming because there's so many things you do to keep it that way. So, whether it's the injections of peptides, the supplements that we take, the exercise that we spend time doing, the mental, disciplines that we undertake, the sleep that we embrace because we know how important that is, the stress levels. So, if you add it all up, it's almost like a full-time job
It
to
is.
stay. And I forgot about the choices we make in our diet, which is one of the most important, is that food is your medicine. So all these things, for everyone that's, watching my podcast, don't let it overwhelm you. Just take it like Margaret Thatcher. I had the pleasure to meet her one time at the English Embassy in DC. And we asked her, the question is, how did you get ahead? How did you get to where you are as prime minister? And she said a very important statement. She said it was one step at a time. She said, when you're on a ladder, would you rather be in the bottom rung of the ladder or would you rather be at the top? If you're at the top, guess what? Your derriere is exposed and you're going to get a lot of abuse and a lot of attacks. But would you rather have that with choices you make to get to the top? Or would you rather be at the bottom of the ladder where nobody even knows or cares that you're around? So, of course, everybody's shaking their head, that we'd rather have the arrows in our back for doing that. So the same thing with our health is some days you might feel like, oh, this is an endless challenge. And then you go and do your blood work and something else has to get tweaked. And then you do your genetic testing and you realize that there are some genes that are going against you, but lifestyle can change. You don't have to take what your genes say as the absolute truth about who you are. What you can do is, as Kashif Khan was on my podcast recently, last week actually, and he made a really important statement that I want everybody to hopefully be aware of, even with your beautiful product line, is that those genetics that your line, you said influences genetics. Well, that's exactly what Kashif said. He said, your genetics are like a blueprint. However, you can tweak those genetics with your lifestyle choices. So don't accept that as your destiny. Just know that maybe you have a propensity to get Alzheimer's, let's say. That's a bad one because it's so severe. But let's just say you have that APO, what is it, E or 4 gene or something, and you have a propensity, but 80% people with that gene get Alzheimer's. So what happens to the 20% that don't? Well, guess what? They choose a lifestyle that fights off the gene. So with that all being said, long-winded, what are the genetics that your product line influence that you said earlier?
As far as genetics up and down regulates?
Yeah, you said the genetics that the product line can influence.
It sets, there's over 50 that it goes up and down, like COPD, lung. There's things for the lung. I mean, GHKCU, they discovered this in 2010, is really important because it sets the genes. I mean, it does things for the skin, but it also helps diabetes. I mean, many, many things.
Okay.
We can do a whole podcast on the up and down regulating of the genes. And when Dr. Turner is on your podcast,
yes,
she will be able to talk about that for the whole. I mean, she's the one that taught me about that, and I think you would enjoy hearing her share that.
Right. Is she an advisor to your skincare line?
Yes, she is our medical advisor.
Okay, good, great.
And we're very fortunate. We could not have done this without her support, because I remember early on when she came over and we met and we talked about what we wanted to do, and at the end I said, "Do you think we're crazy?" And she said, "No." And I said, "You think people will embrace this, that And she was so supportive. And of course, she has advised and helped and counseled from the very beginning. And she's now part of our company, and we're so blessed. I mean, we are very fortunate to have her.
So let's go through the product line and understand what the ingredients are, because actually I congratulate you for the simplicity of the, and the fact that there's no filler, there's nothing that isn't essential. However, I'm sure there were choices that you made of ingredients that could have been in there that are still very beneficial. So while you're talking about the ingredients, I also want you at parallel to that, talk about the ones you rejected, but that you still think are important for people to utilize, even if they do it separately, like vitamin C, for example.
Vitamin C, absolutely. Well, I'll start. I'll just show you this serum, and the reason I'm showing this, the color. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, it's blue, like
can
copper.
You see that? Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
And it absorbs so well. And this is the 3%. We have two versions. We have a 3%, which is the super strong, and as strong as you'll find out in the market. Many of the products you see, like in Sephora, and they're all fine. I'm not saying anything, but when you look, they have either a 0.5% or 1% of the GHKCU. Ours has 2% or 3%. In the serum. So we want, we invested because it is not a cheap product, but we invested because we wanted it to do something. And then one of the things that we added to this, it's very simple. The ingredients in this is a very simple product. We have the brown algae, the giant sea kelp, which helps protect your skin. It has super antioxidants. And what I love to think about is one of the reasons that the sea kelp works so well with the brown algae is it has been out in the environment protecting itself, out in the ocean. And it has developed this way of doing that we can achieve by adding it to our formula. So I love the brown algae. It has hyaluronic acid for moisture. And we know hyaluronic acid holds more than 1,000 times its weight in fluids. So that is for, adding hydration. And I have to just look because we have so many. And then allicin, which is another natural product for soothing, is in there. So we have really built the product with natural ingredients and shied away from things that could do harm, because there's some wonderful products that I see and I pick up and look at, and then I go, oh, you lost me here, because all these things that are helping my skin, now you've added something, that is going to cause harm and actually disrupt hormones, etc. So we've really tried to not only help, but avoid harming the skin.
Well, so two that come to mind that I always think are so important that I read about are zinc, and obviously vitamin C we talked about, but we'll get to that in a moment, and niacinamide.
Yes.
So you have to make a choice to not include zinc, niacinamide, and I know vitamin C you never want to put together with your
correct.
So I think that people who want to continue to use their C would make sure they do it apart, at least 30 minutes before or after.
You are so right. And I think that's very important, because there's retinol, which is also, when you think of the top ingredients, you think of vitamin C and retinol definitely in there. Hyaluronic acid is one of those that one of the reasons we were able to use it is because it works so well and blends so well in our formula. So we have hyaluronic acid in both the serum and the moisturizer. We have a little niacinamide in the body cream. So we were able to include it in the body cream through the formulation. But vitamin C, I'm still exploring vitamin C. There's other forms of vitamin C that are oil-based versus the water-based that might work with copper peptides. But in my studies and research, I don't think right now, I don't think they've proven it's as effective as L-ascorbic acid. So I just say people use the one they love and just separate it 30 minutes and use the copper peptides.
So before I forget to ask you, let's start with if we're going to do the routine.
Yes.
start with the cleanser first, right? So, and you
Absolutely.
use that twice a day?
You know, Vera, thank you for asking that. That's very important. It's a
Yeah,
once a day, only at night.
right,
And that is because the lactic acid, it's even though it's 5%, you would not want to use it twice a day. And I
right,
think people overwash their face.
right.
I think in the morning you can use micellar water
Yeah,
and just clean your face. And
right.
that's my practice because I
Yeah,
realize, as you stated earlier, our skin gets drier as we age.
yeah,
It bends,
exactly.
and I never had dry skin. In fact, it's a new thing. And
Yeah,
so I realized, and in my research, we overwash our face and
right,
over exfoliate. Maybe
right.
exfoliate, you know, physically twice a week, but not every day. But the lactic acid once a day at night. And then
Okay,
we use the serum. And
right.
then after the serum, the moisturizer. And I don't know if you can see the
Yeah,
moisturizer. What's so cool is it's in this pump, so it
yeah,
pumps out the amount. And
yeah.
one of the things I like to tell people, and it's hard because we move too fast and we do want a simple routine. If you can let one product absorb a minute, like let
Mm-hmm.
the serum absorb, then
Yes,
the moisturizer, and then the eye cream, which is also, people love this eye cream.
right.
You can see how blue,
Yeah, and that's it's also they're all blue. So
they're
who,
blue
everybody
because
knows.
they have enough GHKCU, and this has the eye cream has 4 peptides, and one of them is dipeptide 2, and it helps with dark circles and puffiness. And
Mm-hmm.
I know this works because recently I left my eye cream, which I never do, and I noticed the next morning, and I'd stayed up later than usual, but I had this puffiness, and I was so disappointed. And then the person I was staying with said, "I have your eye cream." And
Oh,
so I used it, and like in 20 or 30 minutes, it just, like, that line that comes when it's puffy, it was smoothed out.
so
So
so so these other than the cleanser, these can all be used in the morning and at night. Two.
absolutely,
Okay.
everyone can be. And then the body cream, you were talking, people are just like, this body cream. I have people that buy over two or three at a time because they say, I never want to run out of it. It has the
Right.
shea butter and the
Right.
rosemary and the brown algae. Just, again, wonderful ingredients, and it feels great on your skin.
Yeah. When you
And
the
go
when
ahead.
you said the cleanser, send me another body cream, and of course, tell me how much I owe you because I don't want you to feel like.
Absolutely.
But I
Lisa,
guess.
actually, Lisa, you were talking about Lisa earlier. She had some, and then she said, "You have to send some for mom."
Yeah.
Her mother has issues, as
Yeah.
she's her life,
Yeah.
saving her mom, and so
Yeah.
she loves our body cream.
Okay.
Another thing that I think your audience would be interested in, we were talking about retinol, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up. Many
Yeah.
people cannot use retinol because
Right.
it's too irritating. They have rosacea or certain things that cause it to be too irritating.
Right.
Whereas many people, there's people that can use it and used it all their life, and I think that's wonderful. But
Right.
we wanted to, we did research. We said, well, let's see what is natural, what is possible. And bakuchiol oil is this wonderful alternative. And I'm
Okay.
happy to send you a sample of this
Yeah.
as well.
And
It is,
how do you spell that?
it's,
Bakuchiol.
it's Bakuchiol,
Oh,
bakuchiol. You'll have
oh,
to research it because it's growing in popularity because it's a natural retinol.
mm-hmm.
It's not as strong as Retin A, but it works like the over the counter retinol. And
Mm-hmm.
what I love about it is you can use it with the copper peptides. So I use this because this helps with your skin cell turnover and also with pigmentation. So,
Oh,
because I can't use retinol either, it's
yeah.
hard. And this
It's
is in
very
squalene oil.
Yeah.
So I will definitely send you a
Oh,
sample. And
so
then
when do you layer that on? How,
you use that. I recommend starting at night when you start any, new product that's a cell
yeah,
turnover,
right.
and use it after the serum. And
Okay.
you put moisturizer on top. Again, just let things soak in. If you
There,
can,
yeah.
do one and then go, get ready for bed, then add something else. That's ideal. That
Yeah.
gets the most out of your
I
products.
always spray before I do anything. I always spray my face with, some one of those ones that are, have hyaluronic in it. But I guess I don't need to really do that. But I like to have my face a little bit moist, uh,
Sure.
so that the absorption is better. Is that okay to do it that way?
That's okay, and it's especially wonderful to when you use the body cream, if you can use it after your bath or
Yes.
shower
Yeah, I
and
do.
not completely dry off.
Yeah.
It's even better if you can do that.
Yeah.
Plus, your pores are open. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, very
And then
good.
the last little ingredient, and this is one of the most protective things you can do for your skin barrier. It's hydration boost, but it's made with organic squalene oil,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the plant-based from
Mm-hmm.
olive.
Oh.
And people are loving this because you can use it. I use it as a primer. I
Mm-hmm.
use it and you can put it, it's so light, it does not break out, it does not clog pores. And it's the best primer I've ever used, but I know it's also protecting my skin barrier. So that's it. It's simple. That's all the products.
Don't you have sea buckthorn and
Yes, we have that in both the moisture. Thank you for asking. We have that in the moisturizer and in the body cream.
so tell us about sea buckthorn, because a lot of people don't know some of these ingredients. They don't know, well, brown algae, is seaweed, but maybe just go through and some of the ones that people may not be familiar with. Just give us a little bit more explanation so people know what they're using.
Well, it's calming and it protects. Again, it's another antioxidant and it's calming. Sea buckthorn can calm your skin. So that's one of the reasons we tried to mix things that would do that. It's a great ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have to look. Let me see what's another wonderful one.
Well, just so people know, so squalene comes from olives.
Squalene comes from olive.
Mm-hmm.
And the moisturizer has niacinamide. I said it was in the body cream. It's also in the moisturizer.
Oh.
It's not a high amount, but
Yeah.
we have included it. So
right.
it's.
What about the zinc that I mentioned earlier? Is that something that you had to reject and you would have liked to have it, but it was just adding more ingredients, or is
Yes,
that?
it wasn't in the top, even though I think zinc is wonderful. We had to narrow down because we wanted it manageable so that we could have enough, so that we could have them working the way they needed to. Like I will see 100 ingredients in one product. And
well, the reason I asked about zinc though is because zinc and copper go hand in hand, where they say when you take, a supplement, make sure that you're not taking too much of one and too little of another. So
correct.
Just that's why I asked if zinc was something that you had to examine as a possibility, but just was adding too many ingredients. So
it wasn't on the priority list, so that's why we did not get.
Well, just everybody recognized that in your multivitamin, zinc and copper are usually balanced, so you're okay. I tend to take zinc extra for its immune system support and your skin, of course.
Yes,
so I
absolutely
as a capsule. And I often have wondered, am I taking too much zinc and not enough copper? But then I inject the GHKCU, so I'm getting the copper peptide. So I think it's okay. But here again, I'm sure people are sitting there scratching their head and saying, oh, Michele, how can you be doing all this stuff? It's so complicated. But it really isn't when you get it down to a routine. So
absolutely.
So what else is on the drawing board?
Well, one of the things that you and I talked about earlier, and something that I feel very strongly, but I haven't, we're not there yet. We have two products. One is and I'm not sure we can call it a sunscreen because of FDA. It's a lot more complicated, but a protector, and it would include the algae. GHK, one of the things that's so beautiful about this product, it protects not only your skin, but it protects your DNA from the free radicals. I mean, that's really important because that is what ages you. It causes the glycation of the skin. It causes a lot of problems. So, we were talking about when we spoke last about sun and how important sun is for your vitamin D3, which I do agree, but yet too much sun causes the majority of the problems regarding your skin. I mean, 80 to 90% of the problems originate with too much sun. Right. And you'd said that many recommend you go out in the middle of the day and get sun. And Dr. Turner, what she had shared with me, because when I started realizing the crepe was about not taking the time, both for my hands and my arms. I'd be really good about my face. And then hands. I want to talk about hands.
Yeah.
She said that she uses our serum. She uses the Vitale serum in the morning. And she, like, if she goes to the beach, if she goes out before 9, she will do that. Now she uses melanotan also. So let me say, she does so many things that help her body. But then, and so she'll get a little bit of the D3 early in the morning. But then after 9 o'clock, based on my understanding of her experience, like when she goes to Florida, then she puts on the sunscreen. So,
but what is melanotan?
It's another peptide that actually helps with the pigmentation. It will give you a suntan.
Oh, I have heard that. Yes.
And you need to really study it. There's side effects. It can make you very nauseated, and there's different side effects. But the other side, that the reason I have not tried that, I'm very fair, is I don't want any dark spots that I have to become darker. And that's one of the side effects, is if you have a little mole or a little dark spot, it will get darker along with your skin. But many people love it. It's a safe suntan.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that though, because I have Mediterranean skin, but I also have, as you and I talked the other day about the brown spots. And so spend a moment on brown spots, because I see so many internet articles about how to remove brown spots, and that is another dead end with products that just make big promises and don't deliver. So what do you recommend for people?
I think the Retin-A is probably one of the best. And then the Bakuchiol, I have definitely faded 2 places, and a place I've been using, because again, it's not overnight. This is not use it for a week and all of a sudden it's truly, these products work at the cellular level. So you have to embrace them and be patient, and they will work. And you can read our reviews of people. In fact, I love it. Recently, we've had several reviews from men who, they go, okay, I'm 50 years old. I have never thought of, getting involved with a skincare brand, and certainly not writing a review, but I am seeing smoother skin. And so it makes me feel so, excited that 40% of our customers are men now.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing, because men typically don't pay attention to their skin until it's too late.
We're surprised, but they do.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe women are having an influence on men.
Absolutely.
Well, so let's talk about hormones for a moment, because obviously your skin is affected by your hormones. So we're not medical doctors, but we both know from practice how important, I always say, your hormones are your superhighway. So how do you tell people without, giving them medical advice? Because I always tell people that we are not giving you medical advice. We're only giving you suggestions, but you always have to talk with your medical provider before you do any program. So how do you integrate your knowledge of hormone balancing with your results from using Vitale?
Well, I think it starts with blood work. So this really is, I don't talk about it a lot. I know about it from my own personal experience. Yeah. And when we have customers that that have something that shows up that I think this could be hormone related, I will write Dr. Turner, and she will suggest, some options. Again, not in the way she says it. Well, if it were my patient, this is what I would say. But you have to really see the blood. You have to do blood work to really balance hormones. That has been my experience.
You're so right. And Jay Campbell was on the other week or so ago, and he and I talked about this subject. And the first thing he said, well, he's the testosterone king, right? But the first thing he said, get your blood work done. You have to know your baselines. You cannot this is not guesswork, and you have to know where you are standing in terms of your hormone challenges. Like you mentioned your thyroid. Well, your thyroid would have an enormous effect if it's hyperthyroid. or either way, hyper or hypo, it would have an enormous effect on your skin because your metabolism is off. And when everybody should keep in mind that all health begins in the cells. This is one of the most amazing discoveries that modern medicine has had in the last few years. And so if you think of that and you think about products that don't ever get to the cellular level, then you're really just wasting your money. So, but you have to know what your blood results are. And that, truthfully, that is only a prick in time. Like they take your blood, and that's what you're doing at that moment. So, like the example of cortisol, in the morning your cortisol is different than at night because you've had a day of stress. So, if you take your lab in the morning, of course, if you're measuring cortisol, it's going to be different than it would be later in the day. Those are, examples where blood work is maybe a little inefficient. But
there's saliva tests. There's saliva tests, though, and I did that to really understand that you have to do every 2 hours or 4 hours, and you even have to, in the middle of the night, get up and do the saliva so that you can see, things like the cortisol level.
Yeah, and the urine test too.
The urine test and the thyroid. You're so right, and those things can cause dry skin. Hormones can affect skin, but I think you have to go deeper and find out what's going on. Dr. Turner, I thought I had my thyroid under control because I had been going to a specialist, and then when I go to her, we ended up doing blood work like 4 times, within 6 months, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm just not happy with your T3." And once she balanced it, now for 3 years, I have felt so much better. But she took the time to just tweak it. And she would, she modified it 3 or 4 times apologetically. And yet at the end, I'm like, this is wonderful. I feel good. Thank you.
It is a trial and error, and the body is variable. It can change depending on what's going on in your life. And your thyroid is probably one of the most underdiagnosed hormones that we have. They oftentimes in the blood it'll come out normal, but it really isn't. So I've mentioned a few times on prior podcasts that the Barnes method is the method where you take a thermometer and you put it under your arm before you move in the morning. Just put it under your arm for maybe 3 or 4 days in a row. And your body temperature should be whatever that is, 96.5 or something. I'm not sure what
98.6. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I meant, 98.6.
Yes.
So if you come out lower, then 4 days in a row, you're knowing that your thyroid is hypothyroid, and you need to do something to balance that. So that's a better form. It's kind of an old-fashioned way. Modern medicine may shun that, but that is actually one tried and true way to test your own thyroid before you go and do or get a misdiagnosis that it's normal from some blood work. I just got a message from our producer that we're running out of time. I want you to have a moment to tell people how can they order your products, and I know you're offering a great offer to our viewers today. So why don't you spend a moment and tell us about that?
Absolutely. They can go to our website, and which is vitaliskincare.com. And if they, look through the products, there's only 6 products. It's simple. It's not overwhelming. And if they have questions, they would be fine. They can write me, Debbi, Debbi, at vitaliskincare.com. If there's questions about, would this product be good for me, or would you like to sample something? And if when they check out, they put into the promo code Ageless, they will receive an immediate 20% discount on their purchase.
Oh, how wonderful that is. Thank you, Debbi. Everybody should take advantage of this. I know I never try to promote or sell people's, but I always, if I'm using something and I know it's good, I at least want people to know that here's one person's testimonial, and I'm happy to write something online for you too, because I know that how important that is for anyone in a retail business. Okay, everybody. Well, we've run out of time, but Debbi, thank you so much for coming on. And one other thing I wanted to tell everyone too is Debbi sells her products with a bundle too, so you could do it without no brainer. You just buy it as she's
Yes.
described today with all those different, only 6, but you can get all 6 plus the new one, the retinol, if you want to add that.
The bakuchiol. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
bakuchiol. It took me a while to learn to pronounce that right.
Yeah, no, I never even heard of it, but I'm glad to know that that's an up and comer. So, okay,
Absolutely.
Debbi, you again.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be contacting you with hopefully lots of people with the Ageless Code wanting to try your product. So I hope that we've inspired some people to take on a new path with some products that have ingredients that are very simple and efficacious. So take care, everybody. Have a beautiful week, and thank you so much. This is Michele Hughes signing off. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.